for History of Civ, I will be presenting The Effects on Space in the Modern World by Benaiah Henry, History 112. Right, so my thesis is the scientific revolution changed the world and the course of history in very many ways. Oops. And so the outline's going to be, we're going to start out with the space effects on technology is the main idea. The changes in thought and belief, the change in the scientific method, and then the change in general, and then space versus the rest of the revolution. So themes and threads are going to be people's observation, scientific method, and the new technology that is a result of the space science are all indicators of how space made a huge impact on technology. So space effects on technology, we have in Space Detectors for Astronomy, the beginning of a new era. Amico, which is the author, writes about how the Hubble Space Telescope brought about many advances in technology. We see things like X-ray, seeing further into the where we can see further into space and learn more about God's creation. And then things, especially in health science advanced, such as laser surgery, which fixes people's eyes and stuff. And then changes in thought and belief. Isaac Newton was criticized by other popular scientists, Robert Hooke. Newton still stayed firm in his new thought. Newton's thought of gravity came from his view of stars. Copernicus was rejected the thought of Aristotle of God who wrote in Copernicus and the Aristotelian tradition, education, reading, and philosophy in Copernicus. So basically what I'm saying here is Isaac Newton was criticized for what Robert Hooke believed. And Robert Hooke was a very famous person at that time. And Newton was criticized for it because he believed not only in gravity and things dropping, but he believed that the whole world spun around and that the planets followed suit because of gravity. And Copernicus was willing to reject the thought of Aristotle by coming up with the Copernican theory that the world was not the center of the universe, but that the sun was. This would change the whole course of science and how technology would come about. See, if we look here are some images that we got from the Hubble Space Telescope where we see further into the stars and other cool things. And then the change of the scientific method. Newton used the method to learn why the stars and planets moved. This was how gravity was discovered. He didn't, like I was saying, he didn't just think that an apple fell. And then Tichy in his book writes that he believes the scientific method changed the way it was observed. So this gives credibility to what I'm saying. It's not just something I made up. And then the world changed in general. Well, Smith writes in Rockets and Revolution, a cultural spaceflight, about how he believes that without space science, we would not have the same technology we have today. See, like when there was the space race, which it doesn't have to do with the revolution, but technology greatly advanced because we were trying to get better and better. And Copernicus and his successors, Rosen claims that without Copernicus in the scientific revolution, we would have nothing about space. Space science gave us simple things like microwaves. And without the idea of wanting to go into space, we would have never had the microwave because we had the panels on the backside of the spacecraft that made the microwave. And then in The Good Life, in the Science Revolution, a bunch of different scientists, Jones writes about how the revolution changed thought altogether. The change of the scientific, or I went backwards. Space versus the rest of the revolution. I already talked about that. His grade of gravity is proven to be true on the moon because when we went to space, we dropped the hammer, and that proved that Copernicus was right. And then Tichy in his book believes that the revolution was changed by space. And then Aristotle writes about how the Aristotle and the revolution drastically changed the world. The world was completely changed because of Aristotle's thought. How the accuracy of science changed, I say that before the revolution we have half of it was probably, less than half of it was accurate. And then after the revolution, we're pretty much accurate because we have a new way of looking at it. And then this is my selected bibliography of the various notes I used. Thank you.